All right, I'm good when you are.
Here we go. Hang on a second. Oh, no. Try this again. Here we go. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Awesome new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. We've seen a massive bounce back since the election. New properties going under contract. Close to $200 million went under contract the last 7 days. So lots of great stuff we'll talk about today's show. Even going into potential holidays, right? Thanksgiving week. Lots of great stuff going on. We'll go ahead and talk about the overall macro market numbers that came out from last month. Last week's show, we talked about the micro market numbers. And one thing we talked about was Myrtle Beach, the city, sales being down about 23%. And so we'll hopefully see that bounce back here. We've seen so many people on the sidelines that's been jumping back in there waiting for months. And so we'll talk about that. Some amazing success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it, burning the candle at both ends. And it's one thing we almost had time on last week's show. I saved some where it just talks about how home sales really bounce back after elections, or people, specifically presidential elections. And we're seeing that a lot right now, which is good. Also, if you're thinking about selling in 2025, right now is the time to start preparing for that. And I'll give you some of the top things that people do to get their home prepared. It's usually small things like paint, which rooms to paint, what to do in the bathrooms. A lot of people we see aren't sure what type of repairs or minor things to do. And in my experience, they tend to do the wrong things most of the time that do not bring them the right ROI. So we'll talk about that in terms of what's going on there. Our real estate investment fund bought another property this week out in Conway, and we'll talk about that. And one other thing, that our team runs a amazing real estate scholarship. We're looking to add to our team for 2025. We've doubled down our spending when other agents have been running for the hills and pulling back in terms of the marketplace. And so if you want to know more how that works, we'll talk about that on today's show with lots of great real estate stuff.
For any new listeners, Jesse, give me an update on just who Blake is. It's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly, and a quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Absolutely, Rick. That's the whole reason why I do the show, and the one thing that's really behind the DNA doing this show 14 plus years on this station. It really comes down to the why. And the why is just helping people understand the biggest mistakes they make when it comes to real estate, which is usually, for most people, their largest assets. And it's the number one mistake that people make that I see over and over and over is they make the mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And it could not be any further from the truth. Just like any waiter or waitress, just like any doctor or lawyer, they're all in this service-based industry, meaning you're dealing with a human face-to-face, and how well the human executes determines your success or failure when it comes down to the actual result. And so real estate specifically, the major problem is there's 118 different variables when you're selling a property. So if each one's handled correctly, puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point. That could be anything from the quality of the photos, the order of the photos, do they answer telephone calls when somebody calls a for sale sign? If they don't answer, how long does it take to call back? All these things that you run into, if they're mismanaged, cost you your hard-earned equity. And what I found is it's simply impossible for one single agent to effectively juggle all those 118 different balls. And so they always, for the most cases, end up getting dropped. And in our marketplace, that's why almost 50% of properties end up not selling at the end of their listing, and the sellers are very, very frustrated. And so what we found is most agents just operate the old school way. They do the 3 Ps. They promise you the world to get the listing. Number 2, they put it into MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get the next listing because that's how they have to survive. In our MLS locally, The average agent sells less than 4 homes per year. That's 1 per quarter. And so there's not a whole lot of money to eat with, much less spend in marketing. There's not much experience in terms of pulse of what's happening in the marketplace. And so when I got in the business, like, there's got to be a better way to do this, a much more efficient way to do this. And I looked at what people did outside of real estate, and I brought those same system and processes here to real estate. That's what got us featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, NBC, CBS. All those things really kind of came from me flipping the old school business model upside down, creating this thing called the guaranteed sold system, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. I designed it. We licensed other agents, other parts of the country. But what it does is it truly differentiates the property that the seller has. It increases the visibility, aka eyeballs. And so the more eyeballs I can put on your property, the more likely it is to sell and the more demand we're able to create for your property in the marketplace. And so as most properties sit there and the only differentiator that they have is to reduce the price, we're able to use our large sales team of 30 agents, 20 plus buyers agents, our team of specialists, and we average about 16,000 phone calls per week. And we obviously outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. We're able to make lots of phone calls, lots of connections, and we do the thing that we're best at, which is connecting buyers and sellers. So while most agents get the listing, they don't start marketing anything until they put that for sale sign on the ground. We're doing that month after month, year after year, with hundreds, really, thousands and thousands of buyers that are potentially for your property that we're able to help match up instantly. And so if you want to know how that works, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. For buyers out there, it's very difficult. There's a lot of nuances and ins and outs. There's 100 plus variables when you're buying a property. If each one's handled correctly, it saves you money. You get the property you want. If anything's handled incorrectly, you end up overpaying for it, losing hard-earned equity potential in your purchase, or the property you want, you do not get that in the end. So I designed this thing called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as negotiation of home inspection to get you that closing table successfully and keep the most amount of money in your pocket. But we find what most agents tend to do is they try to juggle all the balls. You have a single agent who's trying to work with buyers, work with sellers, do the marketing, do the closing piece, do that, the overall contract to close, the inspection process. And what happens is that's like having the same person McDonald's at their front register, the drive-thru, and their French fries at the same time. It's very, very, very inefficient. And so what we did when we flipped the model upside down, we have a team of specialists. Every single person on the team is a specialist, whereas a general agent is just a generalist trying to do everything. They're not mastering anything. So our specialists, we have inside sales team, we have an outside sales team, we have buyer specialists, listing specialists, we have closing coordinator, listing coordinator, in-house videographer, photographer. All those things are in place in-house so that we can manage the experience for the client, and I can manage every single detail to make sure we create maximum leverage at every single point. What we do with that is we stack the dominoes. There's 118 variables. I can create a small gap of leverage at point 1, a small gap of leverage at point 2. You stack all those up with 118 different ones. It creates a massive competitive advantage for our clients. So if you want to know more it works, you owe it to yourself to not gamble with your largest asset. That's the only really reason we do this show. Is like hopefully people can wake up. I gave a story 2 weeks ago how someone who reached out to us ended up going with a discount agent who was their neighbor. They underpriced the house by $83,000. They went under contract in 24 hours, and they walked away thinking that it was initially successful, not realizing they underpriced the house by $83,000, and they could have got a lot more. And so in that case, it's like my mom used to say, a nickel holding up a dollar. They stepped over that piece and left so much money on the table. We see this happen every single day. So you want the absolute best. If you want to know how it works, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break right back here in a second. You good? You got some good stuff? And if you want, you can get him on the board too a little bit if you want. Yeah, you can walk around that way. That directly impact your family's future. Either one. Sean Hannity here, and the same is true for your real estate transactions. When you sell your home, you need to speak to one of the agents right here in town that will get you the most money with the least hassle. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, knowing the facts, when you vote, sell your home is always important. That's why you should check out the value of your home in today's market. When you know the accurate value, you are better equipped to make an informed decision with all the options laid out for you. Options like an instant offer, or lay out your timeline and take advantage of the guaranteed sale program, or just put it on the market and get more money than you expected. Just go to the website, find out your home's value in seconds.
Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And get your home's real value in today's market in just seconds, and then you can start packing.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbin. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right.
Right here. He's on it. You just get behind him if you want to do something. But usually the commercial is the best time to do it.
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
Work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new market update, all kind of stuff going on. I tell you, I'm super excited about seeing a bounce back we've had from so many buyers that were on the fence, that were waiting. And I'd say leading up to the election, it was like crickets a little bit. Everyone was scared. And so we've seen a big increase in terms of properties going under contract the last two and a half weeks. Even though rates have been super high, interest rates have stayed high above 7%. But if you look at two types of numbers, you talk about the windshield numbers, and that's like, hey, what's happening going forward in front of us? That's what went under contract the previous 7 days. And there's the second type of numbers, which is our rear view mirror numbers. That's like what closed last month. And so if it closed last month, it went under contract 36 days prior. So you want to make sure you keep both types of numbers in mind. So looking at the front windshield numbers, what went under contract the last 7 days? It's in smoking hot. The last 7 days, 472 properties under contract for $182,021,000, which is awesome. And so anytime we're close to 200 million, even in summertime, that means the market is rock and rolling right now. To be this close to the holidays, seeing almost $200 million in properties going under contract in a 7-day period, which is great. Last week's show, which was on the bounce back really kind of from the election, is 423 properties for $177 million. This week, 472, 482. So a significant bump there. Typically and historically a week that goes backwards. And so that's great news for us to look at, especially when people get into that holiday mode. There are a lot of people who are pent up demand waiting for something to happen who are jumping back in right now, which is awesome news. Of that, there's one property at $2.5 million, 15 properties over $1 million went under contract, 96 properties over 500,000. So lots of big money coming in town for sure. And inventory has continued to climb. Right now, 1,479 active single-family homes in Horry County on the market. Last week's show was 1,462. So lots of great opportunities out there for home sellers, lots of great opportunities for home buyers. And that's something we'll keep watching as it gets to the holiday season, where it's a very interest rate driven marketplace right now. But we've had a lot of people who are kind of waiting to see what happened through the election, and it's bouncing back just like it really supposed to. And I'll talk about that in a few numbers nationally, looking at some previous elections as well. Jumping into the overall macro market, closed sales were up year versus year at 14.9% for resale homes, which is good news overall. It is really declined though since May. It's kind of back down really since May, where May kind of peaked out the best numbers this year at 543. The close this last month, which was October, was 477. So that's a big difference there. Price has been pretty flat year versus year. Right now, median price is down 1.6% at $375,000. Even average sale price is also down 1.4% at $462,086. This is one of the first times we've seen both median and average price decline. So that's something we'll keep watching there. Thankfully, we're seeing this little bounce back post-election. Hopefully that continues into the next year. It's going to really depend on what happens with interest rates and really who else jumps in the marketplace as well. One thing that's helping keep prices really flat, or at least not from going backwards, has been inventory. Right now, inventory is on 4.4 months of inventory. It is up 33% from last year, but it's still a seller's market. Anything less than 6 months of inventory is a seller's market. That's something to keep watching. The days on market has been a little bit longer than most people realize. Right now, the average days on market for a property closed in the entire Grand Strand is 104 days. And so that's significant, right? That's a few months that people have to wait, much longer than it was just a few years ago. And the number one big problem you're seeing for any home seller out there comes on to showings per listing. So the showings per listing, which is buyer traffic, how many buyers looking at showings right now across the entire Grand Strand, the average listing gets 3.5 showings. The problem is the average contract it takes to go under contract is 13.6. And so you can see it's 3 to 4 times the amount of showings needed to get a contract than the average listing gets. And so that's something to really run into that you want to watch. And that's why the agent you choose matters so much. They have to have some type of marketing in place. You have to be able to differentiate when the market's much slower and you're able to have the difference that you're able to make. And I was just thinking about some national numbers just came out from Wall Street Journal this week that typically an average year home sales are about 6 million home sales per year. And came out a report this year, we're going to be about 3.5 to 3.75 million home sales. So a lot less home sales this year than usual, which is why a lot of properties are sitting on the market, a lot more difficult for a lot of agents who have been getting out the business. And so you want to make sure you have somebody with experience, somebody who can differentiate it. And that's something that's super important as well. Condo market also kind of been taking a little bit of a beating. We talked about that over and over previous shows. A lot of changes there in terms of HOA amounts, special assessments, insurance, things like that. And that's happening across the entire East Coast, really. But closed sales for condos down 13% last month. Sales price actually done pretty good, though, up 6.2% at $293,000 for average sale price. Median price is exactly flat, the same exact place it was last year at $245,000. Supply, though, is through the roof. Supply is the highest we've seen it since about 2016 at 7 months of inventory. It's a true buyer's market right now. Inventory for condos is up 66% year versus year. And so that's just something to keep in mind. If you're thinking about selling a condo, I'd definitely do it sooner rather than later. I don't see the insurance issue being fixed anytime in 2025. We are seeing inventory continue to climb. And as inventory climbs and sales go down, the lagging indicator is always price. And so you're going to see price soften, just like you've seen it happen in Florida, a lot of other areas as well. And so we'll talk about that. If you want to know more how it works or have any questions about that, always reach out. We're here to serve any questions. You can also go online to my website, blakesloan.com, get an instant online home evaluation. It's super, super valuable. We spend a lot of money, about $2,500 a month on a specific website that pulls data sources from all the major data sources. It gives you kind of a combination of all three, so you can kind of see, hey, look, here's where my property actually is valued at. You can also get an instant cash offer online from our fund, and you can also track all your properties, rental properties, primary residence, multiple states, whatever you want. You can track it right there in your dashboard, and that's on blakesloan.com as well. We talked about we're a big interest rate driven marketplace right now. Interest rates right now up since last week. It's been very high since obviously the election. There's been lots of money pumped into the equities markets between the stock market, even a lot of cryptocurrency. And so you've seen the bond market hurt a little bit, which is why rates are staying high. Right now, 30-year fixed, 7.04%. Last week's show is 7.02%. Right near a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, 6.4%. A 30-year jumbo loan, 7.2%. And a 30-year FHA loan, 6.45%. A 30-year VA loan, 6.45%. We've done a lot of VAs lately, which is a lot of great buys, a lot of opportunities for any veterans out there. If you want to know more, we specialize that. We have a specialist on our team that can help you with that. Reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Lots of great stuff. We'll take a quick break. Right back in a minute with our hot buyers alert and success stories. All right, you good?
So weird. The audio in here is out there.
It's a lot louder.
It's so weird.
Yeah, what's he's on the mic.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly
It's
what to look
30
for.
minutes, so we have
Best tools in marketing.
13 minutes left.
The highest sales
I
price
like this
possible
angle. I
for
might
us.
just mess around with some more.
Dude, get it.
Let's just stay the
Just that's cool. Get a lot of
I don't have
get.
any shoes. I would shoot till 3, but I gotta.
Dude, get little stuff. Yeah, stuff there. You can shoot from outside that window if you want. You're welcome to shoot outside that window here. Okay.
And for how much you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with two mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing that Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's show Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaBox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts.
You gonna go see them when they perform?
Yeah, I'm probably get a hookup from them too. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a contact and everything, so I don't know for sure if I want to.
I know your story.
I don't know for sure. I've seen those guys so many times.
Yeah.
I've never seen them. I'm excited.
They harmonize very well. Somebody needs the money.
Yeah.
That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole.
Jay was with another band at one time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they sounded really good, but they weren't country. It was more of a pop.
Okay.
I don't think that did well.
It's always tough.
Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start packing.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Big shout out to Gary LeVox and Rascal Flats. They just got announced they're playing here CCMF next year, which is awesome. So we were just talking about that in the studio. I'll definitely be there checking that out, and I hope you are too. But really, hot buyers alert. My team now working a ridiculous amount of home buyers looking to buy properties here, the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area, anywhere from $250,000 to $4.4 million. If you're thinking about selling, reach out, give us a call, 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808. So one thing I've been doing for a long time is putting my money where my mouth is. So many people just promise stuff. They always tell you they're number one. They always say they're going to market your property. But one thing we do is we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint, all because of our business model and the efficiency that we have with the business model and having a team of specialists. We spend about 6 figures a month right now in marketing from all across the globe. And so that's how we're able to just increase traffic to your property, increase visibility to your property. And we have active home buyers that we can match up instantly to your house before you ever list it. And so the minute we do it, the first thing we do is run it through our software. We have an algorithm that we built out that reverse engineers the most likely buyer for your property based on their previous search patterns, just like a Facebook ad or something like that you see online that kind of follows you around. We're able to use that data and intelligence to be able to back that up. And so right now, active home buyers that we have with a username, password account, 78,516 active home buyers. Again, 78,516 active home buyers that we have looking properties just like yours. Right now, I got Donnie from Roanoke, Virginia. I got Lee Zhang from Woburn, Massachusetts. I can't pronounce this one. Derby something. I don't know. Louisville, Kentucky. I got San Francisco, California, Kansas City, Kansas, Coxsackie, New York. All kind of crazy places today, but basically we have buyers from all across the globe. We target the Northeast because that's where a lot of the money comes from. I noticed that when I first got in the business in 2005, like, man, everyone that sees value here is really from the Northeast. We started geo-targeting them based on where their IP address is at, and that's been something that's been very powerful for us to do overall. And so if you want to know more, reach out, call. If you're thinking about selling, give us a call, 843-808. So we have buyers in waiting, and we're able to get your property. Just take a look at it. That's all I want you to do is just at least investigate it. Be curious about it. Compare it to anybody else you've seen. Anybody we sit down with, it absolutely blows their mind when they see what we do and how it works, especially on the back end. You can watch them searching in real time. But really quick, awesome success story. Our team's been absolutely crushing it. And just know we're working this week. We're working next week. We're working every week until the end of the year because that's just who we are. So big shout out success story, John and Nancy. They owned a beautiful home in Myrtle Beach, but wanted to downsize, get something a little bit easier to take care of that fit their lifestyle. They had their home listed with a friend, a quote friend. It was listed for over 6 months, only had a few showings. They were very, very frustrated, but thankfully heard about Blake Sloan on the radio. They called us, reached out. We came in, identified the problem immediately, which is marketing. The way it just looked terrible online. I designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, the virtual reality walkthrough, drove massive traffic, had it under contract within 3 days, which is awesome. Another big shout out, Kim had her home in Loris, wanted to sell, but didn't want to go through the hassle of fixing anything up or having showings why she still lived there. She wanted to have a guaranteed offer so she could buy her other home with ease and close the same exact date. Thankfully, she saw our billboards, reach out. We came in, our investment fund made a fantastic as is cash offer, allowed her to close the same exact day, super happy, and it was seamless. They were awesome. We gave them a few extra days after closing to move their stuff out, and it worked out perfect. We have that option. We have 3 multiple options for it. We have, hey, number one, an instant convenience offer where you get an instant cash offer from our real estate fund. We have a quick sale program to one of our large hundreds and hundreds of investors we have. And we have traditional retail, which is what we're best at, getting you full absolute top dollar. And that's what we're really, really into as well. So if you want to know more how that works, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD, or you can go to blakesloan.com anytime. Really quick, want to get into this right now about if your goal is to sell in 2025, right now is to start working on small stuff, repairs, updates. And here's some interesting data. 47% of homeowners are taking longer than a month to get their house ready to sell. That's from Realtor.com. It talks about the most common seller improvements. Right now, the number one is paint the interior of the home. 46% do that. Second one's improve the bathroom, 42%. 3, improve the kitchen, 38%. Landscape the yard, 35%. Replace or repair carpet or flooring, 28%. Paint the exterior of the home. Replace or buy new appliances. Replace or replace the roof, 22%. Redecorate the house for specific rooms, 20%. And replace or buy new furnishings, 19%. And so the one thing I always just suggest is, like, you want to have an expert help you. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that they do all this stuff and they're not going to get anywhere close to dollar for dollar return. And so we really coach our clients where I'm not a big guy that like advises to do all this crazy stuff because it's so hard to get a return. And so what we like to help you do is kind of gingerbread it. We have a full team of vendors that can help do small things for very, very affordable prices, but we do small things like pressure wash the outside, fix the landscaping part, right? If you do paint, you can paint a couple of different rooms. We have some people that can do a very, very affordable things with you on that, which is very, very simple to do and easy. And we can always hook it up. But I would always suggest, even if you're not selling yet, or you don't have to list with us to get the information, we're here to kind of serve. Just reach out and call me and say, hey, we're thinking about, potentially selling. What improvements should we do? And we're more than happy to take a look at it. Obviously, we know it comes back to us in the long run, but I will say, doing this for 20 years, I see so many people waste money on things that they don't get a return for. And then what happens is they get, kind of disappointed or upset when they actually don't get the money or the return that they wanted. And so that's something to keep watching there. Overall, I do think people tend to overthink it a lot in terms of overdoing it. We sell a lot of them just as is. We just basically clean a little bit of stuff up. We have somebody who can come in, get rid of some junk, get rid of some stuff, pack it up, whatever it is. And we're able to help most of the time. 9 times out of 10, there's nothing major at all. And so that's just something to think about as well. One thing to talk about, the bounce back from the seasonal election drop. We talked about this briefly on last week's show, but the seasonal drop is sharper in election years and regular years. And so during presidential election years from 1963 to 2019, sales are down 15% in October and November. And so we've seen that same exact thing here. What it talks about, the good news is home sales bounce back after the election, which is crazy. If you go back, they increased 82% of the time after the election, starting from 1980, which is awesome. So between 1980 and 2020, it's only gone down 2 times, which is crazy. So the 2 times it went down was 1980, it dropped. The year after, 1981, it went down. And then 1988, it went from 3.5 million sales to 3.2 million sales, which is interesting. And so right now, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 have gone up, which is awesome. And so even for 2020, went from 5.6 million sales in 2020 to 6.1 million sales in 2021, which is awesome. We're seeing that. We talked about this past year. We've seen a significant drop in year-versus-year sales. It's been one of the toughest years in real estate in a very long time for a lot of people. I kind of enjoy it a little bit. It's obviously been very difficult, but before in 2022, anybody could sell a house. They could take some cell phone pictures. People are buying like crazy, and people are leaving a lot of money on the table. Sellers would sell. They think it was fine. Their friend just got the real estate license. They were happy they sold it for $400. They didn't realize they could have got $450. And so right now you need somebody who's good, who can differentiate, who can really help you through that process as well. And so we're always here to help questions. And we got 2 minutes left? All right, number one thing I get questions about too, should I get solar panels? And I'm going to just be real and raw with you about it. Solar panels are an absolute no-no if you're thinking about selling. I can't tell you how many deals we have problems with. We have a second mortgage or a second lien for $30,000, $40,000. We had someone recently had an older gentleman that we think had gotten taken advantage of, had a $120,000 note that was against the mortgage, basically against the property. For solar panels, and the property is only worth like $225, $230. And so there's no possible way that he could sell for that. And most of the time, that's one of those examples you're never, ever, ever going to get dollar for dollar returns on. And so I just say to be super careful. There's some nuances. And I think there's some areas of the country, like here, the Virgin Islands, where that cost per kilowatt per hour is very, very high. But in many cases, we're not seeing people get dollar for dollar return on that if it's a property already built. And so that's one thing I just want to give a warning out. I know some solar panel sales people will not like that, but we've never, ever seen it bring any extra value in terms of your net sales price. And so we get these people we meet with, they say, hey, we got solar panels. How much more can we get for it? And if you look at any comps, there's not really much a bump at all because there's upkeep of that. Many cases, they have a note that is already attached to that. And so what's happening is the equity hasn't gone up enough to even cover the note amount along with interest they have on that. And so that's something I see locally. We see it across the country. Many of my friends, we talk about that in other areas across the country. And also, if you have any questions for anything real estate related, I have a large network, an association I started. We have the top agents across the country in North America that are part of my mastermind group. And so if you have a question, you need somebody to help you in Virginia or Florida or California, always reach out to me. We want to be a real estate resource for life. We'll hook you up with the absolute best agent in the area. I've been looking at buying investments in Fort Lauderdale the past couple months, and that's been difficult. Most agents, they don't call me back. They don't respond to me. It takes 3 days to respond. I have to send a funny gif of like Forrest Gump waving at them to get them to respond. So you want the absolute best. If you want to know more, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOUL. We'll see you back here next week.